Hello everyone, welcome back to this new episode of the Seco Music Talk. Feels so great to be back in the studio, and today we have the magnificent Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley. I'm gonna put Miss because everybody does the same. So she's an amazing and talented singer here in the Kansas City Metro. Has been for quite a while, and I'm so excited to hear about your story. Welcome, Shirley. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing quite well, and I am so glad to be here with you, and thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's such an honor to have, Kansas City legends on this channel, just hearing about you guys and knowing how you guys have been growing on the music scene and the story you have behind you, and how much experience you guys are sharing with the next generation. That's just magnificent. We've been around COVID time right now,
Oh, yes.
and things have been crazy, for a while. Let's hear a little bit of your thoughts of what happened and how do you see the future behind it.
Well, let's see, where should I start? I come from not a long line of musicians, but in my family, I have two brothers. Actually, it's seven of us. I'm the oldest. And 7 years later, there are six more. So there is a big gap there. But I have two brothers that are very talented. I have one that plays the piano and one that plays the guitar. I have a sister that just published her first book.
Wow.
And the rest of my sisters, I have one that's a Michael Jackson. She's a dancer.
Wow.
And then my other two sisters, they're all, into school, education and whatnot. So they have good jobs, that they do. So, but I started out as a very, very young person. I would say about 7. And when I realized that I could sing, and I think my parents, my mother especially, she could pick up the piano, a little bit. But it was something that just came natural to me. And they said my grandfather was the musician in the family. I never knew him. And of course, I knew my grandmother, but I never knew him. And I just kind of started out in the church and singing this and that and whatnot. Always in the junior choir. Every church, every Baptist church has that junior choir at that time anyway. And from there, I went to what's called the gospel choir. And I was in my teenage years then. And that was fun. And I'm from St. Joe, right up the road. I'm from St. Joseph, Missouri, born and raised, and left early. But in the gospel choir, it was nice. And I got a few solo parts. But it still wasn't me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to sing, and that's about it. But I was singing one time at this church, and a minister walked over to me. He says, "I want you to sing in my a cappella choir." And I thought the a cappella choir was just the greatest thing ever, But what it did for me and what it taught me was to sing on key. When you're in the a cappella choir, everybody has to be on key or something's going to be off. So that was a great lesson for me. And I think about 2 years, I stayed with a cappella choir. And then I did the most magic thing that most young girls want to do. They want to get married. So at age 19, I got married. My husband was in the military, so I became a military wife for 20 years. He spent 20 years in the service. So I've lived, I've crossed the Atlantic and I've crossed the Pacific. And I haven't spent too much time in the United States until, I would say, the last 20 years.
What is the name of your husband? I don't know the story at all. I just, want to say thank you for his service. What is his name?
Well, my husband, I lost him about 12 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
And we were Air Force, and we had 2 children, and we were married 47 years. So we were teenagers right out of high school and got married, started a family, went overseas, and didn't really spend much time in the United States at all. So he was in the Air Force, and it was great. I really loved, being in the service with him. And that's where I really started to sing at the NCO clubs. Anytime the Air Force club would have something, I would say, oh yeah, I can do that, I can sing, but not really knowing what was best for me. What did I sing better than, one song better than the other? And then I thought back on my dad. He would have these big, what they call them, 78s, records. And I would hear him play these. I said, why does he play this sad music? It was the blues. I didn't realize that it was the blues. And then he would play some jazz. I said, but why do you want to be sad? Why do you play this music that is so sad? But you have to grow up, and you really have to, expand your thoughts to realize, what is this music saying? What is it doing? Why do people listen to this? And really, it tells a story. If you really listen, jazz and blues, they tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we came back from California and moved here, because my husband had gotten sick.
What was your husband's name?
My husband's name was Russell Hill.
Sorry.
Yeah, Russell Hill. And his family's from San Joe too.
Oh.
Yeah, we're all from that side of Missouri. So
Quickly, how did you guys meet?
that's another story.
That's another story.
Well, actually,
I just wanted to insert that.
Well, actually, he went to all boys Catholic school, and I went to public school. And he would walk the 6 blocks down the street to meet me at school, make sure I got in, and then he would be there waiting when I got out of school, then he would walk me home. So we had a 3-year boyfriend-girlfriend type thing. So we knew we were going to get married,
Awesome.
And, of course, people say, oh, it's not going to last, you guys are too young, and hey, we made it 47 years.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So
Let's go back on course now. Yeah, you were talking about how the blues is, you have to expand your mind to understand it. And I remember when I was studying as well with Dieu-aime, he taught me the blues scale, but whenever I was going up and down the scale, it wasn't sound bluesy, it was just the scale.
Right.
It's not until you really dive into the music, you start listening, you start hearing how people use the style, that you start understanding how to manipulate it.
Exactly. I wanted to be Martha Vandellas or the Supremes, I've got this high soprano voice, and when I came here, you don't fit in, Shirley. If you're gonna do jazz and blues, you gotta have a kind of a low, sultry type voice. Well, I can't sing low. I am a true soprano. So I had a girlfriend that knew a friend, in which you know her too, and that is my best friend. That's Miss Lori Tucker.
Woo!
Lori took me under her wing.
Yeah.
She really did. And I said, okay, what are we gonna do? She said, you just come and listen. And we were at the Phoenix. She said, just listen. And at that time, Everett DeVan was playing at the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I like this music and whatnot, but I would still have the other little bebop and, all that going on. So I met Everett. I started taking lessons from him until he got, real sick and he couldn't do it anymore. But my dear friend was always there. Lori has always been there for me. I asked all kind of questions. When do I do this? When do I do that? And she would give me her opinion on what she thought. And she said, something, do not change what you're doing, but you need to change the style of music that you're doing. So that's how I got into jazz and into blues. And I still like to do the little rock and roll stuff every now and then. But I found my place, that I do better, I sing better when I sing jazz or when I sing blues.
Yeah.
I can tell the story, and that's what I do when I select a song. First of all, does it relate to me in any way? What is it that the song is saying? What kind of story is it telling? And that's the way that I sing the song. If it relates to me, or just even one sentence, I can sing the song. And I try to do the best I can with it, So Miss Lori, bless her heart, if you ever want a friend, she's the one to have. She has introduced me to hundreds of people here in Kansas City. She just took me under her wings. I mean, you need to meet this one, you need to know this one, you need to know that he plays this and he plays that, and you need to get into this club, just go in and do something free, it doesn't matter, money will come later, don't worry about it, and that's how I got to get around Kansas City and start meeting so many other people. I met so many people, I can't even remember who they are. And I had people say, oh, hi, Miss Shirley, how you doing? I said, oh my God, do I know them? And that's a scary thing because I don't want to say, well, I don't know who you are, or whatnot, but it's just so many people, and just sit and listen. If you don't do anything else, sit and listen. And I'm gonna tell you a little secret that's
go ahead.
it's really embarrassing.
I'm listening.
First night I met Lori, we were at the Phoenix, and like I said, Everett the band was playing. So she told me, you watch Everett. Everett will tell you when to sing and when not to sing. Now, you know me, I'm new, and well, I know the song, I know how the song goes, whatnot. Yeah, okay. I started singing, and then, I knew when to stop, and Everett started playing his part and whatnot, and then somebody else played, So I said, okay, well, it's time for me. And I started in, and I looked at Everett, and Everett said, it's not your turn.
Not your turn.
And I felt about that big. I mean, the place was packed. And I said, oh my God. I said, they're never gonna let me sing here again. Never. I messed up,
Oh my God.
But afterwards, she said, I told you to watch Everett. He would tell you when to come in again. And we had just met, But she could see something in me, you're gonna be okay. You just need a little,
Just
coaching
getting used
there,
to it,
and whatnot. So I give all my praises to her. She's great. But I also have to thank a lady by the name of Millie Edwards.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Millie gave me my first 1 hour shot at the Phoenix. Then she gave me a second shot at the Phoenix. So the Phoenix and I, we're fine. I met a lot of people, a lot of drummers and the pianists and whatnot, So that was great. And I have to thank Carissa. She gave me one evening there, and that turned out great. And then I started meeting Mama Ray from B&B, the barbecue place. And I met people at Scores, I've been out there. I've been to B&B Theater, I've sang there, but I haven't really, what I want to do is to have my own band, my own music. I like to know exactly what I'm doing, one song right after the other, and I want the people that's playing for me, I want them to know what it is. I want to know what they're doing in case I need to stop or something. I want them to know what I'm doing, I'm really a kind of a hard-nosed person when it comes to the music because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I want it to be right. I don't want people to say, oh, I went to hear her and she was just terrible, or the band didn't play right. They couldn't get it together, and those things, no, that's not me. I look for musicians that are going to, hey, I know what you're going to do. You know what I'm going to do. I don't even have to look at you. I know it's your time. It's my time, or whoever else is there, and we're going to make this thing work. We're going to do this right. So I'm kind of a hard nose when it comes to that. And I'm more hard nosed for myself, make sure that I'm doing it right. I expect everyone else to be right. Well, I had better be right.
Absolutely.
So
there's so much so much content you just threw out there. You talked about how you were going and you associated yourself with Lori Tucker and Millie Edwards. Shout out to Lori. She was my first guest, by the way. I'm looking forward to have Millie here. And you talked about Everett events as well. He was like a mentor for a lot of people here in Kansas City. And I remember people would tell me when you were making a mistake, you just be looking at you.
Mm.
You know, I only had the experience to study under Everett once. He came to KCC, and it was a phenomenal master class that day. It was phenomenal. And also, you put out how you got to in your debut. You know, you were going to clubs, you were going to places, you know, and you were talking. No, you were listening. You were listening to what other people were doing, so you can learn, so you can know how the skills and things go around. You know, this is for like the younger generation. This, like, literally we already talked about what they should be doing. So if you're watching this and you wondering what you should be doing for your career, you know, Shirley is a great example. She just threw out the, you know, things she's been doing. Maybe go back a little bit and check out what she talked about. Let's move a little bit even way back, you know, in your past. You know, tell us a little bit about how you grew up. You know, I would like to bring you a little bit closer to our audience. Tell us a little bit about what was your life? What is the thing that marked you the most when you grew up in Kansas City? Like,
Well, first of all, I didn't grow up in Kansas City. I was born and raised in St. Joseph, Missouri,
okay,
which is like 45, 50 miles from Kansas City. And at that time, St. Joe was really a growing city. And a lot of companies wanted to come in, you know, and build St. Joe, but they just didn't go for it. So they came to Kansas City. So now you see how Kansas City is with all the businesses here. And St. Joe is still a little small, residential type area. But I grew up in really in the 50s and 60s. And at that time, there was really not a lot of places, you know, for black performers. You know, we had like a little strip called Messina Street. There was a lot of clubs there, but I was too young to go to those places. I was way too young. And then they had other little places in the other ends of town, but still I couldn't get in. But I said, okay. So that's where the church came in. And of course with my mother, she played piano in church and whatnot. So she wasn't all of that great on, you know, pushing me into a club. She wanted to hear me sing, you know, but we're not gonna go there just yet. So it was really a dream of mine, and I would just in my head, in my mind, I would be singing all these different songs and, you know, doing whatever I thought was right for me. But it was always back to the church, always. So my big thing was when I got married and left, that's when my career really I began to blossom. I began to find myself what I wanted to do. And I knew I always wanted to sing. But being in the military and moving around, you know, here and there, trying to raise my 2 children, you know, all that went on the back burner, which was fine. So when I did finally move here and singing off and on here and there, you know, this is really what I want to do. What really got me is when I was told, you're singing the wrong type of music for your voice. So what do you mean? I'm singing what I like, you know, this is what I want. But if you're going to be a singer, you need to sing what your voice can carry. And I didn't realize that. I never even thought about that, you know. And that's where the jazz and blues came in. And when I started singing the first song, I said, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I felt more at ease. You know, I said, boy, it looked like I found something that I could really sing and sing well. The other songs, you know, I thought I was doing great. Of course, you always think you're doing great until somebody comes along that really knows, will tell you, no, you know, you're singing the wrong kind of music. I have another friend, I'm trying to think of his name. His name is Will. He's a black guy, he's blind, and he plays the drums. And he told me, he said, Miss Shirley, he said, do you mind if I tell you something? I said, no. He said, you are in the wrong venue. You need to get out of this venue and stick with the jazz and blues. And I said, now this is the second time I've heard this. Something, there must be something to this.
Yeah.
Somebody is hearing something that I'm not hearing, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I even talked to Lori about it, you know, and she said, hey, you do better when you're singing jazz and blues. Let that other stuff go. Let it go. Concentrate on what you do best. So that's where I'm at now. And when I talked to, in fact, I just met a young lady, I can't remember her name, at the Phoenix, and she was just starting. I kind of said, get up there, you know, you can do this, you know, everybody has to start somewhere. And the first thing I told her, sing what you sing best. Don't sing what you like, sing what you sing best. And until you find that, you're going to be here and there and just all over the place, you know. And if you don't know what you sing best, ask other people that have heard you sing. What did they think? Did they think you sound good singing this, or did they think, you know, on the other side of the coin? No, I think you know, and go from there. And then when you're comfortable in what you're doing, you know that's where you belong.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you belong.
Absolutely. That's such a great lesson and such a great story as well, you know. Enjoying how you've been like trying other styles first in order for you to find your own voice, you know.
Right.
And the great Miles Davis said it takes a while, it takes a long time to find your own voice.
Yes.
Absolutely. Tell us, you told me earlier you went to college, you know. Tell us a bit more about your education side, you know, and what you've been doing outside of music as well.
Well, once I graduated from high school and got married, I didn't think anything else about going to school. It was in Germany. I was there and I was working in the club, NCO club, waitress. And this girl told me, she said, you know something? She said, you're smart enough that you could be doing something else besides being a waitress or dishing up, you know, the food, whatever, you know. She said, when you get back to the States, I want you to go to IBM and tell them you're interested in doing data processing. Said start on that level. I had no idea what in the world's data processing. You know, I knew IBM, you know, but I knew nothing of the technical side at all, nothing. So, of course, when I got back, oh God, we got stationed in a little small town called Altus, Oklahoma. No big companies anywhere, none. But what I did, I was smart enough to do this. I went and rented a Annie machine. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm going to be in big trouble right now because I am predominantly left. Everything is left. Mm. Everything I do, when I walk, I walk with my left foot. I do everything with my left hand, everything. And I had to teach myself to really use my right hand. And that was, well, where is it? You know, I can do it with my left, but you can't reach across this way, you know. And I had to teach myself all the numbers on there.
So you became an ambidextrous by force.
If you want to get a better job. Yeah. Want to get a better job. I said, okay, well, I can do this. And at that time, you had to do 15,000 keystrokes an hour. Now that sounds like a lot, but really that isn't a lot.
Okay.
It really isn't a lot.
To me it is.
15,000 keystrokes, that's what they wanted you to do. And I got to the point where I was really good at that. So I said, okay, I can do that. So when I got my first job, I was horrible. Oh, I thought I had it down. I was horrible, but I was hitting keys, the wrong keys, you know. So you keep, and at that time, now we're going back, that's when you had the key cards. You punch holes in the cards, and then they would take them and they would run them through the computer. The computer would read them and process whatever it was you had on the cards, you know. But before you got to that point, when I keyed, the holes that I was punching in the cards had to go to a verifier. She had to verify what I had just punched in that card. And if it was wrong, you had to throw it out and it had to be done over again. And I said, oh my goodness, they're gonna fire me from here, you know. But it was a learning lesson. It really was. And I got to the point where I was very good at it. You know, very good. I became a manager. In fact, I'm very proud to say that you heard of Ernest Borgnine, the actor.
Probably,
Ernest
yeah.
Borgnine. He's quite a bit older than I am too. Well, I worked for his wife, Tova. She had a cosmetic company called Tova 9 for Borgnine.
Wow.
And I was her manager of data processing. And that was in Beverly Hills.
Ooh.
And God, I was there about 4 years, I think. And that was probably the best job I had, besides singing.
You've been around.
Yeah, I've been a few places, you know.
I love
So-
the fact that you tell us, you know, a lot of people have this mindset like, I can't do it, you know, or I'm gonna lose it, or but you still keep going, you still do it, you know, and I always love the end of your story whenever you say, and I conquer it. You
Yes.
talked about your experience with Everett Evans, you conquered it at the end. You just talked your experience again with IBM, and you conquered it, you know, you've been, and I believe you've had the same struggles, you know, even when you were working in singing. Do you still have any other struggles that, you know, you can talk about, you know, and share with us a little bit more?
Well, I'm gonna have a struggle now because I haven't been out there performing. You know, I've had some surgeries. So 2021 hasn't been quite great for me, this starting out. But my struggle now is to find musicians that I can play with and that want to play with me. Now, there's a lot of venues out there, you know, but getting in the venues. I know a lot of people, which is great and fine, you know, but you've got to be able to say, hey, I've got this, and this, you know, I can do this, and this. Give me a chance. At least give me one night, and let's see what we can do. So right now, that is going to be my struggle, getting my health back, getting both feet on the ground, you know, and just hit it and get out there.
Absolutely, and I believe at the end of it, you're still gonna be conquering it, you know, because I can tell you still go for it, you know, you're still a go-getter, and you just keep smashing life, you know, in the mouth.
Well,
you know?
I hope so. Even in my education, you asked me about that. I started out in a junior college in California, and I did my 2 years of data processing, coming from, hey, you need to go to IBM, you know, so I did that, went to California, got my 2-year degree in data processing, and I said, okay, that's all I need. I really don't need anything else. And my girlfriend said, come and go to school with me. Let's do our BS. And I said, oh, I don't want to go to school. I'm through. You know, I got a good job. I'm doing good, making good money. And I finished. I got my BS in business administration.
Wow.
And she dropped out.
Oh,
I just, but I had to keep going. I started it, and I'm going to finish it. Plain and simple.
Again, you guys, if you're watching, this is Shirley Hill here in the Seco Music Talk. You know, is there something you would like to share with people who are watching? You know, we are still during COVID time. There's a lot happening out there. Is there something you would like to share with the audience so far?
For those that are getting into this business, and it's like any other business, it is not easy. Just keep going, keep trying, do the best that you can do. The doors will finally open. You'll probably say, oh God, I'll never get anywhere, you know, I'm still at the same point, but you never know who's listening, you never know who's watching. And at that very time, that's when the door will open for you. But keep at it, keep practicing, just keep honing those skills, because the better you get, when you do get that break, you're ready. You're ready for it. So that's what I would say. Just keep at it.
That's Miss Shirley here for you guys. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you so much.
It. And such a delight to hear from you. You had such a great story, and I hope we're gonna have you get back again in the studio sometimes, you know. And I'm sure you still have way much more to share with us, you know. In the meanwhile, we're gonna go and listen to your song now.
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
All right.
Thank you so much.